It's time for The World This Week, 7 days, 4 Paris-based correspondents, 1 hour, and joining us, Anne Bagamurray of the International Herald Tribune. How are you?
Very well. Nice
also with us, Aude Baron of Le Plus, the French news weekly Le Nouvel Observateur's interactive website. Thank you for being with us. Tunde Fatunde has dropped in on us. Thank you for being with us. Tunde Fatunde, normally in Lagos, Nigeria. He's here in Paris, columnist for The Guardian of Lagos. And Craig Capitis, who has a new job description. You're with Quartz. What is Quartz?
Quartz is the new digital publication on business from the Atlantic Group, who also publishes the Atlantic Monthly, National Journal, a number of other publications. We're going to be launching in a few weeks. It's got a good staff, global staff, offices around the world, and, you know, stay tuned.
And a good ambassador in Paris, by the looks of it.
Yes, well, right. We hope so.
The World This Week, by the way, where you can always join the conversation throughout the week on Facebook and also on Twitter. You can find us at FrancoisF24. Now, summer vacation is summer vacation's not just over for the distinguished representatives of the Fourth Estate that you see here. It's also over for Europe. And on the beach this summer, there was this uneasy feeling about back to school. Dutch cartoonist Tom Jansen, there you see, sensing that something was looming. Did you, Anne Bagamurray, have that feeling this summer that there's not much news, the news cycle's kind of slow, but something's brewing here?
Well, once you realized that the heads of state were beginning to make travel plans to see each other at the end of the summer, you knew that they weren't resting very easy either. I was in Italy for 3 weeks, and the papers were all full of Monti's plans to go meet with Mrs. Merkel, to go meet with Hollande, to meet with Mr. Rajoy in Spain. And when that's taking place, you know they're not getting together to knock back a couple of beers and play some flipper. They're maneuvering because they know when they get back they're going to have to be ready to propose something to calm the markets, which are going to be nervous when the traders come back and everybody's looking to see what's going to happen in the euro. So did I sense something? I'm not clairvoyant, but it doesn't take a lot to see that when the heads of state are moving around, something is being prepared.
All right, there was no vacation, by the way, for the Greek government. In fact, the prime minister made sure of that as he checked from ministry to ministry. The Greek government scrounging for cash ahead of big deadlines with creditors. This week, the prime minister getting ready to beg for more time and more money.
With God's help, we will do everything we can to take the country out of the crisis as soon as possible.
Word on whether God has answered his prayer, but Antonis Samaras has since been spotted in the company of a higher authority, the German Chancellor, who, in front of the cameras on Friday, stuck to a tough love mantra.
In order to win back the trust, our expectations must be respected. That is why I made clear that Germany expects Greece to stay true to their commitments and for actions to follow their words.
A lot of messages to send in all different directions for the Germans as they host the Greeks. Messages to the markets, messages to the electorate, messages to her coalition partners. How did Angela Merkel fare this week in that regard, Craig Capitis?
I think she's still treading water. I think she would like, as everyone would like, the Greek crisis to go away, and it's not going to go away. And I think she's basically treading water now because they're still waiting to figure out what to do with Italy and Spain. I know there's always been disagreement on the panel here on what's going to happen with Greece. You saw Samaras saying that, you know, we need time to breathe. Well, Greece has been underwater for over 2 years now. There's no air there.
So Greece is a goner.
Anne's going to come down on me with this, but I think Greece is going to file for, what a government does, essentially file for bankruptcy, go bankrupt and go back to the drachma at some point. They just don't have the money. The math just doesn't work out. And right now, Merkel and her cronies are more concerned about what's going to happen with Italy and Spain. Because if you look at Greece, its GDP, etc., it's a really very small portion of the EU, and I've always felt that is, as far as Greece being part of the European Monetary Union, that they are ejectable, and no one's going to cry about it. Because I think a lot of people are tired of the Greek saga. The markets certainly are.
The markets are. Aude Baron, the week's most startling the end is near prediction came from the chief economist at Citigroup, who says, "We now believe the probability that Greece will leave in the next 12 to 18 months is about 90%, and the most likely date is in the next 2 to 3 quarters. He even said, Wilhelm Bauter, that it could come as early as September or October.
Well, you know what's very striking? It's when you say Greece may leave Europe. It's a very serious problem. And when you see the public opinion, most people, we just have to say, just don't care. Because, and the cartoon you showed just at the beginning of the show, you know, is very interesting in that point of view, because when you look on Google, so, you know, on the research on Google, on the last 30 days in France, so it shows, you know, the French public opinion. When you see the word which is connected to the word Greece, it's not about Greece crisis or Greece and Eurozone. It's in the top 10. You have Greece hotel, Greece cheap flight ticket, Greece, you know, vacation, Greece location. So people, when they think about Greece, they think about themselves. They think about their vacation. And the Eurozone, they just don't care. And it's a problem for Angela Merkel or François Hollande, because they also need the public opinion support. And people, it's not that they don't support, it's just they don't care. And it's very difficult, you know, to get the people interested in that subject.
And it's, by the way, you're looking for cheap hotels. It's not that cheap anymore, Craig Capitas.
No, it's not. There was a downturn in the number of visitors to my homeland this year, and it's very tragic. It's become such a. It's really become a cliche. Greece is a tragedy, and the people I knew who were making decisions on whether they wanted to go to Greece for vacation or not, all of them in the end decided to go somewhere else, Italy, Spain, Latin America, the United States, because they just did not want to be involved in that environment on their holidays, which was, again, another tragedy for the Greek people, the hoteliers, and some of the most beautiful real estate you can find in the world. But this is what happens.
All right, and by the way, it's not just bankers that are braced for what's been called a Grexit. The Sun newspaper, quick to pick up on the Finnish foreign minister's nonchalant admission that, of course, Helsinki's got a contingency plan, not just for Greece leaving the Eurozone, but for a full-fledged breakup of the Eurozone. Amber Murray?
You'd be a fool not to have a contingency plan for that. And whatever you want to say about the politicians who lead Western democracies, they're probably not fools. Look, I honestly, when I hear chief economists at Citibank saying this is going to happen in the next 12, 18 months, I wonder, okay, what's his bank holding that will benefit from a Greek exit in 12 to 18 months? I see that as some of the most interested commentary you can possibly find. Someone who plays the financial markets, whose bank plays the markets, pronouncing on what the markets might do, what might happen in the markets. I don't think, and Craig is going to come down on me, and we can both be proven wrong, I don't think that Greece will leave the euro. I don't think that Germany wants Greece to leave the euro. I don't think France wants Greece to leave the euro. I don't think anybody wants Greece to leave the euro, because there is no telling what happens after that. You talk about Spain and Italy being causes of concern. Well, if Greece leaves the euro, who's next?
And go, sorry.
Tunde Fatunde.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't forget the reasons for the creation of the euro system itself. The creation of the money was aimed at a stage towards a full-blown political union of Europe. That was the purpose. Let's start with the money.
It's still on the statutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Every EU country must aspire to it.
Precisely. But unfortunately, the possibility of surrendering some of the sovereign powers of each state is not there again, at least for now. And so what happens? Greece is in trouble. Instead of other countries coming to help, nobody is doing so. Even in Greece itself, some sector of the society are not paying taxes. You take the Orthodox Church, one of the biggest landowners in Greece, is not paying any tax. And so what do you do? So if people are hoping that once Greece leaves, the European Union will remain intact, no, it's going to have a boomerang effect, and others would be tempted to leave. In fact, you can see that even the Chinese are buying some of the best highlands in Greece. And if Greece leaves, it weakens Western Europe, and Western Europe may become a satellite continent to emerging economies who have the cash.
That's an interesting point, because 24 hours ago, we were on the set, there were these economists who were saying we just have to keep ruling out, even though there's all the statements that have been made, there's the fact that you saying that you can't balance the books, but these economists are saying we just can't politically afford to have Greece leave.
We've had this discussion for 2 years here. It's the political solution versus the market solution. I don't think anyone in their right mind wants to see Greece leave the Eurozone. I certainly don't. But as a Greek, as someone who goes there, and I can tell you that despite, I haven't seen the most recent polls, but you're reaching a point down there that the Greeks are so tired and fed up with having to deal with this that many of them are saying, you don't have to kick us out, we want to leave. You know, I think that's the acid test here. How much more pain can you heap upon a people? Obviously, other parts of the world are in much more pain and disaster than Greece. But Greece is a European country. It is a modern country.
And for some of the solutions letting Greece go, the French president, who Thursday traveled to Berlin for the first time since Election Day, he made it clear that for him the answer is Europe, more oversight from Brussels and also from Frankfurt.
We are in favor of going further and faster in the European Central Bank's supervision of the banking sector. We will have to work on it.
How's that going to play in front of his home audience? François Hollande's call. Europe's not that popular even here in France, is it?
Europe isn't popular at all, you know. When you write an article about Europe on the internet, it's very easy because you can see in 1 second if people are reading your article or not, you know, in contrary to the paper or television
so their eyes
or radio.
glaze over.
When you put Europe in a title on the internet, you know, you can be sure that no one will read it. And when we write, you know, article about Greece, we try, you know, to talk also about François Hollande, about Angela Merkel, you know, because to try to interest people in that subject, which is so important. And you were saying, you know, François Hollande wants Greece to stay in Europe, as, you know, everyone wants to. But you also have, you know, some time to threaten and to say, maybe we think about it, just to put some pressure. And because, you know, some people say, you know, we are fed up to pay for the others, and the Greeks say we are fed up, you know, to pay for us, and Germany say we are fed up to pay for everyone. So, you know, you just have to, to make people feel a little bit comfortable and to say, we also think about you, and the public opinion, we think about it. But in your mind, you just say, my guideline is to make everything so that Greece can stay in Europe, but you have also to take the opinion into account.
Marie?
Well, François Hollande's not the only one who thinks that the direction is going to come from Frankfurt. The European Commission today said it was going to announce its banking rules, or proposed banking rules, on September 11th. And a large part of this new, much tighter pan-European banking regulation will involve the European Central Bank finally having oversight over euro area banks. And there'll be no more stress tests where the national governments can kind of push the big bank problems of its national champions under the rug. Everybody is looking at the ECB to be the honest broker and to be the tough cop. And so, you know, is that too much to heap onto the shoulders of Mr. Draghi and the folks in Frankfurt? Probably not. Maybe what's really needed is more power for the ECB to take action, like buy bonds and so on. The ECB actually is planning more bond buying, but it's waiting for the pan-European structures to be in place. I have a feeling when some of these things happen in September, when the EU announces its regulations, when the German Constitutional Court pronounces on whether the bailout fund is constitutional and can be instituted, I think after that you might see some fairly quick action on the part of a lot of players to start building more Europe.
All right, so the glass half full, but just barely for the French president himself. His popularity, by the way, which this week for the first time dipped below the 50% mark when he returned to the office from vacation on the French Riviera. This is what François Hollande could read on the front page of left-leaning Libération, the very so-so summer of François Hollande. So the honeymoon period was indeed a very short one. Well, at least he can, and by the way, he can definitely no longer pretend that he's Mr. Normal, not after being immortalized this week at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum in London. There you see the effigy there. Tunde Fatunde, François Hollande, is he the man for this crisis?
Well, let me put it this way. The problem actually is structural, in the sense that if you put Western Europe in world global perspective, the economy is not doing well. And you must take a continental view rather than a national view to be able to look at solutions to the problems.
And can he do it?
Well, he claims to be pro-Europe, and I guess he has no choice, and that's why there's this meeting between himself and the German Chancellor to try and fix things. Actually, to be very frank, you cannot isolate what is happening in France from what is happening in Europe.
And from the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
When we come back in the world this week, lots to talk about. The election race in the United States, the death of Ethiopia's longtime leader, and why a Burgundy village is up in arms. Stay with us.